As our week continues to heat up, we're tracking red flag warnings for this week, the timing, and the reason why tonight.
You know, the memories we have of him are what a great teammate he was and what a great guy he was.
After a Whitworth football player died in an accident over the weekend, his former coach shows us how he'll be remembered. And deputies arrested a man over the weekend for a drive-by shooting. Now he faces felony charges. We'll bring you the latest tonight in your Night Report. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the Night Report here on KREM 2 News. I'm Sydney Schofield. Let's begin with that weather impact alert tonight. Meteorologist Cody Proctor joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center. And Cody, people need to be extra careful with that critical fire danger for the next couple of days.
That is exactly right, Sydney. And we start to see that potential for that by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon across the region. And then it expands for the rest of eastern Washington on Wednesday from what we're tracking right now. As we take a look at that weather impact alert, the reason why we have this is because we are expecting warm, dry, and some gusty conditions. Some places could potentially see some localized wind gusts of about 35 miles per hour. It's not the best news and it's not the best combination when we see how dry it has been outside for us when we check with our drought monitor. Right now, though, as we take a look outside for us this evening, it has been quiet for the most part. We've been seeing partly cloudy skies, temperatures over at the Spokane Airport around the mid-70s for us this evening with winds coming out of the south at about 6 miles per hour. That relative humidity as we continue to cool down starts to move back up a bit, but not very much. Like I said, it's pretty dry outside right now. As we take a look at our temperatures around the region, Sandpoint's currently at 64 degrees for us tonight, still hanging on to those low 80s for Moses Lake and for Wenatchee. Currently at 70 for Coeur d'Alene. We're watching this next weather maker moving in off the Gulf of Alaska right here because that's looking to bring us a dry and cold front as we head into tomorrow, bringing us that possibility for those breezy to gusty winds. But it'll take some time before we get there, at least here in Spokane, where we start things and stay calm in our overnight hours. Could see some sunshine as we head into the morning for us, but we are looking at highs reaching up into the low 90s tomorrow and then cooling down, bringing with those breezy to gusty winds into your Wednesday. I'll have more on these red flag warnings coming up in your full forecast later.
Cody, thank you. A Whitworth University football player is being remembered after a tragic accident over the holiday weekend. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy has more on the life and legacy of Tanner Hart.
Whitworth University is mourning the loss of junior football player Tanner Hart. In a statement, the university called Hart a cherished member of the Pirate family, asking the community to keep his family, teammates, and coaches in their thoughts while offering support resources for those affected. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office says the 20-year-old died Saturday in a skateboarding accident. Investigators say Hart was being towed by a golf cart when his skateboard struck one of its wheels, throwing him to the ground. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Hart came to Spokane from Western Washington, where he helped Sumner High School win a South Puget Sound League title during his senior season. His former coach, Keith Ross, says football only tells part of Tanner's story.
You know, the memories we have of him are what a great teammate he was and what a great guy he was. And, you know, he was always happy and always cared about everybody. And always, you know, he was a good servant leadership.
After learning of Hart's death, Ross helped organize a candlelight vigil on Sumner High School's football field on Sunday, where more than 400 people gathered to remember him.
There wasn't 400 people there because Tanner was a great football player. There was 400 people there because Tanner impacted a bunch of lives.
Ross says several Whitworth teammates, including Hart's roommates, made the trip from Spokane to attend the vigil, a gesture he says meant a great deal to Hart's family and hometown community. A memorial service will be announced by the Hart family at a later date. In Spokane, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Spokane County Sheriff's deputies say they arrested a 21-year-old on a felony drive-by shooting charge over the weekend. They say he shot his pistol out of his window 3 times while recklessly driving in his Tesla. After deputies responded to calls about a drive-by just after 8 p.m. on Saturday, a Kalispell tribal officer found the car at Northern Quest Casino. That officer detained Cade Mills and told deputies he was driving recklessly, going 60 miles an hour in a 45 while changing lanes. Deputies say they found a spent shell casing in his car. They say Mills admitted to, quote, shooting a couple bullets. He's due back in court on Thursday. The Shoshone County Sheriff's Office is investigating after finding human remains in the St. Joe River yesterday. That's according to our news partners at the Shoshone News Press. According to the Sheriff's Office, a kayaker reported possible human remains in the river near mile marker 23 on St. Joe River Road. Deputies responded and found remains in a shallow lagoon area of the river a few miles downstream from Calder. The sheriff suspects the remains could belong to Chantel Williams, who was reported missing late last year near the location where those remains were discovered. An incident at a bonfire in Pierce, Idaho left 8 people injured over the weekend. 7 of them were taken to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle for their burn injuries. 22-year-old Casey Browning is from Athol. She's one of the victims at Harborview tonight. Her family says she has burns covering 80% of her body. That includes her face, her arms, and her legs. Browning has a 3-year-old daughter at home, and right now she's in a medically induced coma.
One thing I know about Casey, it's that she is one of the strongest people I've ever met. She loves her daughter more than anything in this world, and I know she will fight with everything she has to make it back to her daughter.
Of the 7 victims at Harborview, health officials told us 2 are in critical condition, 5 in serious, and 5 of them are in the ICU tonight. Moses Lake Parks and Recreation reports that some fireworks or explosives set off on Friday heavily damaged a bathroom in Montlake Park. Parks and Rec say the bathroom's now closed until further notice. They say they'll hold whoever did this financially responsible. So if you have any information about this, you're asked to reach out to the Moses Lake Police Department. Crews with the Spokane Fire Department are investigating a fire that caused extensive damage to a North Spokane home this afternoon. Firefighters say it started outside a single-story home on East Kedlin Avenue near the Y before spreading into the house and then to a nearby shed that they say contained fireworks. Neighbors also reported hearing several loud explosions that sounded like fireworks going off. No one was injured. The investigation into the cause of this fire continues tonight. And just before 9 p.m. on Independence Day, the Moscow Fire Department says illegal aerial fireworks lit a duplex's attic on fire. No one was home at the time and no one was hurt, but we don't know yet if there will be criminal charges for the use of those illegal fireworks. And tonight we're learning the Chelan fire burning in central Washington turned deadly. Yesterday, deputies went to check on one person living in the affected fire area who was reported missing, and during their search, they found human remains in a vehicle that slid off the roadway into the fire. The Douglas County Coroner's Office is working to identify that person. A search is ongoing to make sure everyone else in that area was able to safely evacuate. That Chelan Hills fire is burning on the eastern side of the Columbia River. It's burned nearly 10,000 acres so far, and it's 0% contained tonight. Level 3 go now evacuations forced about 5 people out of their homes. And Douglas County fire officials say the fire already destroyed around 100 structures. Right now, we don't know how many homes that includes, but we'll keep you updated. A judge sentenced a Meade woman in federal court today for embezzling more than $1 million from her employer. Carol Amato will spend a year and a half in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Amato pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud back in April. Her former employees, Hattenberg Excavation and Hatt Asphalt, say Amato transferred company funds fraudulently to her own personal account and spent it on things like gambling and other personal expenses. All right, let's talk World Cup now. While fans on the west side flocked to Seattle Stadium, a crowd of soccer fans here in Spokane gathered at Brick West to watch the United States men's national team take on Belgium tonight in the final match in Seattle of this year's World Cup. KREM 2 Sports Director Andrew Quinn joins us now with the recap of the round of 16 tilts. Andrew?
Well, Sydney was all in front of this American side tonight, a chance to advance to the quarterfinals of a World Cup for the first time in 24 years. Unfortunately, the Americans came out completely flat in this contest, and within 9 minutes, Belgium was already on the score sheet. A tap-in goal for Charles de Ketelaere gave the Red Devils a 1-0 advantage. The U.S. answered in the 31st minute as lightning struck twice with a Malik Tillman free kick goal to tie the match at 1. However, it only took 61 seconds for Belgium to reinstate their lead on a header by de Ketelaere to make it 2-1. The U.S. would not score again, and Belgium was quite literally handed 2 abysmal giveaways, which they turned into goals. A Matt Freese gaff in the 57th minute was turned in by Hans Van Aken, and Romelu Lukaku Baku put the finishing touches on this one after a Chris Richards giveaway in stoppage time as Belgium wins it tonight and sends the U.S. home 4-1.
You have good days and you have bad days, and today was one of our bad days and it got the best of us. I think we came out here with the ambition that we can go really far in this tournament. We didn't obviously go as far as we'd like. That being said, if we inspired just a few kids throughout this journey, then we did something right.
Belgium will face Spain Friday in the quarterfinals at noon in Los Angeles. We'll have more sports coming up in just a bit. Sydney?
Andrew, thank you. Stay with us tonight. Coming up, a local actress is suing a local business for using her voice without her consent. Hear from her in 90 seconds. Plus, the annual river cleanup is this week. We'll tell you how you can help protect the environment in our region. That's coming up in about 8 minutes. We'll be right back.